Hello, everyone. This is Just a Dad, and you're listening to Coffee with Dad podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by my very own coffee, Just a Dad Simple Sip Coffee. It's available in the K-Cup form or 16-ounce bag. You can get it either whole bean or already pre-ground, and you can buy it at justadadcoffee.com. Underneath the video also, you will see the products display there where you can click on them. I hope somebody, when they ask you what your favorite cup of coffee is, that you say Just a Dad Simple Sip Coffee. Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. I got a very special guest today, Zach Spaur. Zach Spaur is a police officer in Litchfield, Illinois. Hi Zach, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on today. The reason for my podcast is to show my appreciation and gratitude for police officers, different professions. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, absolutely. It's the greatest job in the world. I love it.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So it is Coffee with Dad. We're going to have I got coffee poured. It's my coffee. I branded my own coffee, Just a Dad Simple Sip Coffee. And it's a dark Brazilian roast.
It's delicious.
Okay. So you are a K-9 officer.
I am.
Awesome. Okay. So what made you, let's talk about, we were talking earlier about being a police officer and you said it's a calling.
It absolutely is. Police officer, to be a good police officer, you have to be called to be a police officer. I have no doubt about it. One of my sergeants, when I worked nights, he used to say, you don't find this job finds you. And that's absolutely true. I was lucky it found me very early. I knew what I wanted to be. My grandfather and my dad were both full-time police officers. My grandpa did like 35 years. My dad did 29 years with the Clinton County Sheriff's Office. I knew when I was 12 years old I wanted to be a police officer. My dad very much did not want me to be a police officer. Tried to talk me out of it. Thought he had me talked out of it. And my Sunday school teacher, of all people, went to my dad because, I mean, obviously we're all family friends. We go to the same church. And she said, you know that your son wants to be a police officer, right? He just quit telling you because you keep telling him you can't be a police officer.
Wow.
And he goes, I guess I'll help him then. And so he did. He helped me along, like taught me how to make the right decisions to become a police officer. But all my goals were to do that. And I went straight through to college, did 4 years in college, and I was hired for the city of Litchfield 2 weeks before I graduated.
Wow.
At a time when you couldn't, like there were 30 and 40 people testing for one position.
Wow.
And so he helped me quite a
Okay.
bit. I got the right background to do the right things.
So you got a lot of pre-planning, college degree was around being a police officer.
You know, in law enforcement, they don't care what your degree is in.
Okay.
You're just showing them that you're smart enough and determined enough to do 4 years.
Okay.
And get a degree. And honestly, you don't have to have a degree. It's just easier if you have a degree.
Right.
One of the pieces of advice that he gave me was, don't get your degree in law enforcement. Don't get your degree in criminal justice. My degree is actually in psychology.
Wow.
Because they don't care what your major is. And criminal justice majors are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Whenever people are applying to be police officers.
Right.
And you can't do anything with it if you burn out in 10 years. So he did that. And then he also helped me get into a bunch of internships, or like kind of directed me to, hey, go find some internships, go ride in a police car, figure out if you really like it. Because at that time, especially, you would have been surprised how many people like made it all the way through the academy, rode in a police car for the first time and said, this is not for me.
Really?
Yeah. They had it built in their head from television, what law enforcement looks like. And that's not what law enforcement is.
No.
It's a much different thing.
So you did some ride-alongs?
Oh, yes. So I, when I was in college, obviously I had an in with the Clinton County Sheriff's Department. So I did an internship with them. As soon as I got to college, I went to Blackburn College in Carlinville.
Yep.
And so as soon as I got into college, they had a reserve program, and I rode with the Carlinville Police Department for a while. And then my senior year, I did my internship with Litchfield PD, and that's how I got hired.
Wow.
I sat down in January for basically an interview for an internship, and they handed me a job application.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about Litchfield. I knew it was a bigger town that had a bigger a bigger police department, and I wanted to see what that was like.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the guys that were there. Like they really brought me along and helped me to be a good police officer.
Okay, so internship. I did not know about internships with police officers. What's that like?
It is the opportunity for you to see if law enforcement's for you. It's not, a lot of jobs have like a paid internship where you're doing some valuable work.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer a lot of value to the police department other than we can kind of take a look at you and see if like, hey, maybe we like this guy. Maybe he would be good and we should encourage him in our testing process. Yeah. Honestly, they treated it kind of like FTO for me, which is field training, because at the time we were really short. I knew some about law enforcement. I had been a jailer with the Clinton County Sheriff's Office. I had been a park ranger with the Corps of Engineers. So I kind of knew some law enforcement, and I could do some paperwork for them, and I could do a little bit, not a lot.
Right.
But really, it's an opportunity. You donate your time. There's no payment to it.
Wow.
And you come in and you get to ride along. Sometimes they'll have you sit in dispatch. Sometimes they'll ride, if you're in a sheriff's department, a lot of times they'll have you sit with the jailers to kind of figure out law enforcement. Great opportunity. Okay. It's a great opportunity to ride around. You kind of know, I've always allowed interns and riders to come ride with me at least once.
Yeah.
Because, cops get kind of picky. They're driving around in their office, so not everybody likes to have an intern, but I also know that that's how I got in.
Yeah.
So I'll generally let people ride with me, and you can kind of tell in the first 2 hours.
Okay.
They're either sitting over their board and they're like checking their phone, or they are so into it that you got to kick them out of their squad car after like 5 hours. You're like, okay, guy, you got to go home now.
I imagine the second one was you.
Yes.
Loving it.
There was actually, it was probably not even proper to do, but the chief, who is no longer with the department, I had rode all night one night, and it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, the day shift's coming in. And he kind of jokingly said to me, well, you're just going to go home now? And I'm not the person to do that to. And so I continued to ride until 3 p.m.
Nice.
I had been in the car for 24 hours.
Nice.
The chief came up to me and said, go home.
Go home.
I understand that I can't do this to you. I can't push you like that. Go home. The lieutenant was driving me around. I was falling asleep. like lucky an intern has no responsibilities other than to ride in the passenger seat.
Yeah. So you would do that during the summer?
No, that was for college credit during my last semester of school.
Really?
My first internship I did during the summer, but that last one, that was during the school.
Oh, wow.
It was like a 3 credit hour internship. I was supposed to do 9 hours a week. I did a lot more than that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I just, that calling, I do get that. That just seems very, very special. And I'm just so appreciative that there's people out there like you that want to do that. That's just, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Because it does seem like a lot of training. What's some of the training that goes into it?
Sure. So you get your baseline of training. I mean, it's been 16 years since I went, but it's right around 12 weeks. Sometimes they go to 16. Illinois State Police does 26 weeks. It's an academy where it's full time. You're there for 5 days out of the week, but it's mostly 8 to 5.
Okay.
The good academies put you through a lot of scenario based training.
Yeah.
They'll put you in a room not dissimilar from this, and you'll walk in and you'll have to handle a police call, and 2 or 3 veteran police officers will stand there and they'll watch you and take notes, and it'll probably be videoed.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go back and point out everything that you did dumb. They're probably going to try to kill you a few times with fake guns and get you good and scared. But that's really how they do it is a lot of scenario-based training. You have to sit through some law classes and things like that. But then once you get out of there, we have a much more defined program now of FTO. You go through 3 field training officers after you get out of the academy. And I think they're like 4 weeks apiece for each phase of FTO.
Yeah.
We're kind of going through a cycle right now where we have a bunch of new guys coming up. And then you do that. And so the first phase of FTO, you start out and you're just kind of riding kind of the internship role where like you watch the police officer do it. He may give you some paperwork to do. He may give you some menial tasks. Second phase of it, it's kind of 50-50. You do half, he does half. He handles probably the more difficult calls.
Right.
You handle kind of the really easy stuff, like a minor traffic accident or something. And then phase 3, you're it. You go do it, and this phase 3 FTO just stands there and watches you. So not only do you have to be a new police officer doing police work, you have to stand there while a veteran police officer watches and judges you, and then doesn't give you feedback until later.
Wow.
So
let you make the mistakes.
Yes, and that's the trial by fire is kind of how you learn to be a police officer, because there's no way. I'm a midnight sergeant, so I have a couple of guys working for me. I'm lucky right now. I have a very veteran police officer and I have 1 new police officer. And so I tell my new guys when I get them, like, I don't expect you to know anything for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because the calls are such a wide variety. Like, we may run into this circumstance once every 6 months. And if we're lucky, you get to be there for it.
Yeah.
So a new police officer for the first 3 years, they're still trying to figure out how to be a police officer.
You may get a call you've never had before in 3 years.
Oh, absolutely. And I could get a call I've never had before tomorrow. But I've had enough calls that I kind of understand the formula.
Yeah.
And I know, like, okay, we're going to solve this problem in such and such a way, and it should work.
Yeah.
Or I know the resources to reach out to if I absolutely don't know. Yeah.
So earlier I skipped over real quick. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Third generation.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So they all started out as bricklayers. I skipped the bricklayer part. But my grandpa in the 60s was not wanting to be a bricklayer. And so he applied at Carlisle, where I'm from, and then also St. Louis City. And luckily we got to Carlisle.
Yeah.
So he was a police officer at a time when I love listening to his stories. And because I'm a police officer, he tells me all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he would have this tiny little badge, and the department wouldn't buy patches for their shirts. And like, he said, you'd make a traffic stop and you spent half the traffic stop convincing someone that you were actually a police officer, because that's how law enforcement was in the 60s.
Yeah.
My dad graduated high school, went to be a bricklayer, and all the bricklayers were telling him, hey, get a different job.
Yeah.
You're good at laying brick. You're fine at laying brick, but this isn't a job to live forever.
Yeah,
if you can get a job with benefits, find something. My dad ended up becoming a police officer. He was a great police officer. He was a deputy for 29 years, I believe.
Oh, wow.
He was just a deputy the whole time. He worked the road. He worked the road on midnights when I was a kid. He did lake patrol. And I always loved law enforcement. Coming back to coffee, one of my favorite things that we used to do, and I've heard old cops call it this, but I've never heard anybody in modern times call it, was go loafing.
Oh.
And going loafing meant we're going up to the sheriff's department and we're going to drink coffee. And Mary was the jailer at the time. She's this tiny little lady that worked for the department, and she would give me cookies. And I would get the duplex black and white sandwich cookies.
Yeah.
She would give me cookies. And there's a joke that my family tells that sometimes somebody said, oh, I'm going to take you to jail. And I said, I don't care. Mary will give me cookies. But we would sit there, and I started drinking coffee at a very young age. I was probably 5.
Oh,
and
wow.
I would drink coffee with my dad and all of the sheriff's department buddies and listen into the stories that I maybe could hear or maybe could understand. And they're kind of talking a little above me. But
Right.
Yeah,
Loafing. That's a term I have not heard in a very long time.
So you have heard it.
Yes. It's just, you're right. It just, that term went away.
It did.
But that meant just going and talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I imagine there was a lot of coffee at a police station.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the old bun coffee maker.
Yeah.
We still have one
Yeah,
at our department.
It's hard to beat a good old bun.
Yeah,
It still makes a great cup of coffee.
it does. It does, absolutely. And, I mean, that's part of police culture, honestly.
Really?
Oh, yes. So much. So, like, I was talking about the Phase 3 cadets, right?
Yeah.
The debrief, the learning how you messed up, that happens in Phase 3, and that happens throughout your law enforcement career. People don't realize it, but police officers, especially in our department and a lot of like city type departments, they solve calls as a team. Yeah. It's 3 guys figuring out a problem. Now, one guy's probably quarterbacking that problem.
Right.
And a couple of guys are, helping.
Yeah.
And then next time it's somebody else's call and he's quarterbacking and the other 2 people are helping. But what happens after that, especially if you have a big call?
Yeah.
So everybody goes back to the department. We have a cup of coffee and we debrief it.
Okay.
We talk about, hey, this went good. That was really funny.
Yeah.
I can't believe we had to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's where the learning happens, is over a cup of coffee in the office. Yeah.
Are there people that come in that don't drink coffee that end up drinking coffee?
Yeah, especially on the night shift.
Yeah.
Like some do. I tell you, energy drinks. I make fun of these kids.
Yeah.
They're gonna all not have kidneys.
Right.
But yeah, some of the young kids still drink the energy drinks, and they'll have 2 or 3 of those big cans. And
yeah, they got the big warning on them. The warning's on there because they got 300 milligrams of caffeine in them.
Yeah.
If you drink coffee, you may get 300 milligrams, but at least it'll be over a longer time.
Right. No, it's some of them still do that, but definitely we definitely drink a pot of coffee.
Yeah.
My deputy chief, who I love very dearly, makes sure that I have a pot of coffee anytime that he has time. When I walk in the door and I can smell coffee, I know he's working. I come in. I usually give him a big hug. So, thank you, buddy.
So do you take coffee in the squad car?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I got a thermos.
Yeah. Because I work for a city department, I had a thermos. I used to drink out of the big green Stanley thermos. And I still do on like really cold nights when it's maybe a snowstorm and I'm not going to get back to the office. But now I just have my Bun-O-Matic and I have like the little 20-ounce, kind of Yeti style coffee cup. And
keeps it warm.
about the time I've drank that, I need to go in to maybe use the restroom anyways. So I'll fill it back up.
Okay.
I probably go through a couple of those a night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I know a lot of people are going to want to hear you're a K-9 officer.
I am, yes.
How long have you been a K-9 officer?
I got my police dog in October of 2017. So it's 6 years now.
Wow.
We've been running we've been running together. He's a Dutch Shepherd, because everybody's going to want to know. His name is Wookie.
Wookie.
Yeah, Wookie. I did not name him. It's from Star Wars, obviously.
Right.
I'm not necessarily a Star Wars fan.
Okay.
The lead trainer in my academy that I went to for that, which is a separate academy, the dog came from an associate of his 12-year-old son named him. and I liked it, so it just stuck. And everybody loves it when they hear his name's Wookie. But
What's that process like? So did Litchfield already have a K-9 department? Were you new?
So Litchfield, I am the third K-9 handler
Okay.
for the city of Litchfield. The first was Dan Evans, and all the credit in the world to Dan Evans. He's retired now, but he ran his shoes off to start a police K-9 program for us.
Okay.
The department, I don't think, funded any of it.
Wow.
He did it all through donation. He got money to outfit the squad car. He got money to purchase the German Shepherd. He got money for the academy. He went to Indiana for a K-9 academy. And I don't know how long he ran that program, probably 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
Our department's been one and done kind of. So he had his German Shepherd. By the time you've done 7-10 years with a dog, a lot of people are kind of, they're ready to move on to something else because it's predominantly night shift. And not everybody wants to work forever on midnights like I do. Excuse me. But so he did the program, ran it through. And then about the time that I started, it would have been 2007. Our second dog was started. And now that program was funded by the city. That was Shane Grammer, who's now the school resource officer. And he ran a phenomenal dog, Ari, for 10 years. I worked with Shane quite a bit, so I got to be around the dog a lot. I loved dogs. I was always wanting to be a part of his training. I would actually be the decoy. It's one of my favorite things. Everybody always cringes, but no, I would wear at the time we had a big green bite suit, and I would wear that bite suit for him and for the county sheriff's deputy, and I just loved it. I ate it up. I absolutely loved the bite suit and doing the bite work and the obedience that went with the training. I didn't understand what I was doing at the time.
Right.
I was probably a bad, terrible decoy.
Yeah.
Since then, I've learned a lot more. I've gone to a lot of training for decoying. And I actually, at this point, I think I've decoyed in 3 or 4 states for different seminars.
Oh, wow. Sounds like a profession in itself.
I wish it could be. There's probably 5 people in the United States that get to decoy professionally.
Wow.
Maybe
that's
10.
Interesting.
But you have to find somebody that's willing to pay.
Oh, yeah.
So there is training to it. Like the decoy for police dogs is one of the most critical components.
Right.
Because you have to build the dog's bite and all that stuff happens in the suit with the decoy. The trainer can't do it. So my dog's bite is a credit to the decoys that built him. Now I picked very specific decoys to work with my dog.
Yeah.
But I've been bit by a lot of dogs.
Wow. That's never thought that the decoy would be, I thought somebody just threw a suit on the new person and go run.
40 years ago.
Okay.
30 years ago. Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
And we had some issues with that. And we've kind of figured out that, hey, this is not how it should be done.
Okay.
So now if you're a new dog handler and you show up in our training group, I'm like, no, buddy, that's my suit.
Yeah. Okay.
I get kind of protective of the bite work. And then I pick the guy that I want to take my dog typically.
Wow. So how did the dog pick you? Did they pick the dog?
So that's funny. I started with a dog from a traditional vendor in Indiana who's huge. And we picked that dog. I took him to an academy that's no longer in existence. It was Macon County Training Academy. We trained for 2 weeks, and the dog he was great in narcotics. He was great, and I guess I should say what the dog actually does. He does narcotics detection, so sniffing for drugs.
Okay.
He does tracking. He does apprehension or bite work. And then we also do what's called article searching. So items that have been thrown recently that have some human odor on them, the dog can actually find those things. We use that a lot whenever we have like someone flees from us and then all of a sudden they stop.
Yeah.
A lot of times they threw something. And so we can go back and find that something. It's been great. I found big dope from cases and stuff like that. So anyways, back to my story. First 2 weeks, we run the dog. He's great in narcotics. He's doing great in tracking, but his apprehension work to the naked eye probably looked fine, but we could tell that or I couldn't tell, my trainer could tell that he wasn't enjoying it. He wasn't wanting to go out and get the bad guy. And he explained that we need that junior high kid that's looking to just be the bully. Yeah. That's what we want out of a police dog.
Okay.
And so he just wasn't. So I took him back. Luckily, a local small vendor from south side of Chicago had a dog. Decatur, where a lot of those guys are from, had bought a couple of his dogs. They knew that he was a good vendor. I ended up picking up the dog and so the first time I handled his leash, we do like kind of a hunt test, and we throw this toy out and the dog runs out and he finds it and uses his nose and he finds it. Well, what they teach these dogs from the day that they're born is that's my toy. I want that toy. I'm going to get that toy. And then we put the control in them later. Like I can make him let the toy go. Okay. But when they're puppies, get the toy. That's all they have to worry about. Get the toy, get the toy, get the toy. So I had a toy in my pocket and I threw a toy. The dog didn't see me throw the toy, but he saw the toy in my pocket. And so my 10-month-old police dog bit me 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
To get his toy. And I went from a dog that maybe wasn't going to bite to a dog that was going to bite me.
Oh, wow.
I'll take him. It's going to work.
So the dog picked you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, he bit me.
That's funny.
Actually, the trainer was on the phone with my chief at the time, and the chief was worried because he wanted to make sure the dog's going to work. He's going, I just got to know that this dog's going to work. And my trainer looked at me and goes, and I'm getting bit at the time, goes, yeah, I think we'll be fine. I guess worked just fine.
So you bring the dog home. How long is that transition? The dog comes home and then on duty.
So the academy is like 8 weeks, 10 weeks.
The dog goes with you.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So the dog is what they consider green. He was a little bit more than green because of the vendor that I got him from. Yeah. He'd already had some drug odor on him, and we were kind of behind the 8 ball anyways. So he got trained up. I got trained up. We both kind of learned to drink from a fire hose. That's kind of what it is. You graduate with a basic narcotics detection dog certification, and we put the patrol and the aggression work is all done then. But you're still very basic at the very beginning. It really falls, again, to the field training. The training group that you pick up with, they're veteran dog handlers, and they kind of help everybody along, and we all just kind of learn from each other. Wow. We're lucky now. I mean, with YouTube and all the Instagram and everything, we have access to dog training now that is unprecedented. Wow. Like it's great.
And you probably get together with other departments.
Yeah. So the standard is 2 8-hour training days a month is the standard. It's a little low, but I mean, you have to be reasonable about it. If you're a dog handler, you're going to put in extra time to make your dog good, and you're going to donate that time. Wow. But twice a month, we get together, and anybody that can is kind of welcome in our group, as long as you're going to be a good handler and you want to do good. Like we'll help if somebody's got a dog that needs some help. We'll absolutely stop and help it. Wow. But our agencies are Jersey County, Macoupin County, Montgomery County, Christian County, just kind of that Route 16 area is kind of what it has ended up being. Yeah. And we get together. We have one Illinois State Police handler at this point, but we also have connections with, the training group for Illinois State Police is in Pawnee, which is just north of us. Oh, wow. Their head trainer there and their other trainer as well are good friends of mine. So we go up there and train with them if we need to. And we've made a lot of connections in the area. Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about the dog. The dogs are we love dogs. Yeah. What's the dog's story? Do you know? It's a boy, a Wookiee, right? Yeah. Boy. Yeah. What's Wookiee's story?
So from birth, actually, I know his story, which is incredibly rare for a police dog. So understanding police dogs, most police dogs come from Europe. Oh, in Europe, it's dog sport. They have dog sport is like NASCAR is here. Everybody participates. Everybody loves it. You have people in their basement having 2 litters of pups a year, and they're competing with their dogs, and they're selling and competing and it is a lifestyle in Europe. And in all honesty, we get the ones they don't want.
Oh, wow.
So we send buyers over. They buy up all these dogs for big vendors. They bring them. We get like these 1-year-old dogs. It used to be we'd get them at like 18 months or 2.
Oh, wow.
And now the demand is so high that it's 1-year-old. And when I got my dog and it was 10 months old, that was super young.
Wow.
Now it's not unheard of to get a 10-month-old dog. So they need a little bit building.
Yeah.
They talk about like in the 90s when you got a dog, you were going to get this trial dog that was, you had about 2 hard corrections before he was going to bite you. And now we're getting puppies that we have to build up. But my dog, the dad was a Decatur Police K-9.
Oh, wow.
So he actually was an Illinois police dog. He's born and bred in Illinois. He was born in the south side of Chicago. Like I know his whole litter.
Wow.
I think there's 3 or 4 litter mates that are Illinois police dogs, different agencies around the area. I know one's with state police now. There's a couple other agencies that have dogs from that litter that are full litter mates. But now he, at 10 months old, he starts coming home with me. I have a kennel for him. He's an outside dog. Police dogs have to be an outside dog.
Okay, I didn't know that.
In a kennel. There are people that bring their police dogs home and they sleep in the bed with them. I think that really muddies the waters for a dog.
Okay.
For my police dog, he has a job. He has something he has to do, and it may make the difference of one of my guys coming home or not.
Yeah.
So I keep him very clear, very black and white.
Okay.
I don't let him in my house because we'd bring dogs into houses for search warrants, and I need to find drugs, and those drugs may be in that kitchen cabinet up high there.
Yeah.
Well, my dog will jump on that counter.
Yeah.
He will absolutely jump on that counter. I want him to jump on that counter and sniff at the very top of that counter.
Okay.
I don't want that in my house.
Right.
And I can't differentiate that, right?
He may think, well, treats are up in that cabinet
Well,
or something.
he thinks drugs are up in that cabinet because I want my toy.
Yeah.
That's what he thinks. Like nothing gets in the way of wanting that toy. Like literally the order of operations for that dog or the order of what matters is me and the toy and maybe biting somebody.
Okay.
So if he comes in here with us and there's 4 or 5 people in the room, he's not like your pet that's going to come up and get petted.
Yeah.
My partners, they look at him, they kind of talk to him a little bit, but they don't pet him.
Okay.
My own kids don't pet my dog.
Wow.
Because he is very black and white of, I work for dad,
Yeah.
everyone else is biteable.
Yeah. That's how it has to be.
And when he retires, he'll have a different life.
Yeah.
I'll probably bring him in my house because he's a very obedient dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, for now, he's a very black and white
Yeah.
life for him.
So something intrigued me, midnights. I didn't realize dogs worked midnights. And is that hard for a dog to switch to midnights?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I don't think
Our
so.
dog sleeps all night. We're like, how could that dog ever be up at night?
Well, to be fair, he doesn't have to stay awake when we're just driving around. He does sleep at night quite a bit.
Okay.
He just wakes up to go do some work once in a while.
And boy, they can wake up quick, can't they?
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of funny because sometimes there's some day shift dogs that are really getting a lot of good work in.
Yeah.
But traditionally, your more active police officers are working midnights because they're newer.
Okay.
They're out there hunting, trying to find something. We're looking, we're wanting to get after it. And
Okay.
that's when the activity happens. There's plenty of work in the daytime. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But in the daytime, you kind of, the regular day-to-day calls get in the way. Like somebody, hey, I got a question about this. My license plate does this. And I don't understand. Those calls get in the way of like going out to try and find these felony drug dealers and all this different stuff, right?
That makes sense.
So in the evening time, we like to say the normal people go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then we're out hunting.
Okay.
And so dogs have traditionally worked a lot of nights.
Okay.
I mean, I could go to days,
Yeah.
but I love nights.
Oh, wow.
It's my wife suffers from it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for her. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put my 20 in, and then I'm going to have to step and retire.
Yeah.
Because asking my wife to deal with more than 20 years of midnights is probably too big of an ask.
Probably got the dark curtains and
No, actually, I'm good.
really.
Oh,
Oh, my
absolutely.
dad worked midnights and his room had to be perfectly dark. And
So many guys are that way. My sergeant, for several years, he built these boxes and covered his windows. For me, I could sleep in this room.
Wow.
I just lay down and go to sleep. I adapted. I think, very well to midnights. Like I've always been a night owl.
Wow. Well, thanks. Oh man, I'm glad because I couldn't do it.
Oh, I love it.
So something I wrote down, do dogs get a badge number?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know if they got their own little badge and like,
I mean, there are people that do that,
Okay.
yes, but no.
Okay.
No, he's
are dogs sworn in? Is there like a sworn in ceremony? Okay.
no. So we did do like a little bit of a changing of the guard kind of at the city council meeting because we retired one dog and brought a new
neat.
dog in. So I have a very nice picture of it actually somewhere of Ari and Shane are standing there, and you can see, Ari's 12 years old at that point. Those dogs only lived to be 14 or 15, so he's very much showing his age. But man, he's such a cool dog. And then you've got my dog who's 10 months old, and I've got him between my legs and I'm holding him because he doesn't have the obedience that Ari has at this point. And Ari doesn't really like other dogs. So Ari's kind of, if you know Ari, you can see that he's kind of like, I'm not really liking this. And Wookie's like, I've got his ball in my hand and he's just excited as can be, but we kind of had a little change over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever taken a sick day or not, but do dogs get a sick day?
Yes.
Is there a day when dogs like, I don't feel it today?
So these dogs are so driven. They are the hardest working member of the city of Litchfield because he's working for a ball. Like his entire world is I'm working for a ball and a tug toy and maybe I get to bite somebody.
Wow.
I trained him with a bunch of food.
Yeah.
But I want a ball, I want a tug toy, I want to bite somebody. That's his.
Yeah.
He always wants it. Always. So if he stays at home, he's very upset about it.
Yeah.
I had a couple of times when he was kind of like a year old. We had a couple of incidents where like his forepaw would be sore, and I would come out there and I'd see he's like kind of limping around. I'm like, man, I don't want to put you in a car and put you at risk. So you're gonna take the day off. But it's a forced day off.
He would go to work.
If he sees my police truck leave,
Yeah.
he's upset. He is pacing the kennel. Matter of fact, if I walk to my police truck, he's up and pacing. He's ready to go. They are not. I love Belgian Malinois and Dutch Shepherds are our common police dogs right now.
Right.
And because of movies and Hollywood, people are thinking, man, this dog looks great. I got to have one of these.
Yeah.
It's just the worst. It's the worst. They're not a pet.
They're high strung, aren't they?
They just have to have a job. They're driven. Like these dogs need a 40-hour-a-week job.
Wow.
And a lot of them need their 40-hour-a-week job. And then if you're not working them, they're not social, like enjoyable, cuddly pets. They want to like, just put me in my kennel, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's odd.
Yeah.
But that's what we breed them for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And man, they want to work.
Well,
and watching them work is beautiful.
Oh, I'm sure. So if somebody was thinking of, say somebody wanted to be a K-9 police officer, what recommendations would you give them?
Oof. So first, you have to be a good police officer and you have to want to be a police officer.
Okay.
And then you have to be able to wait because there's a long line of people wanting to be dog handlers typically.
Okay.
So you really have to get lucky. Like you could stack your odds a little bit and get into a department that has a bigger K-9 program and a good K-9 program because bigger isn't always good.
Right.
And then you have to go and you have to kill it. You have to go be a good police officer and then get picked.
Yeah.
Basically, some departments have a physical test to get picked.
Oh, wow.
But really the best way is to kind of earn favor with the K-9 handlers.
Okay.
So
Work with
much
them.
like I did, go show up, volunteer for training.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be in the suit if you'll let me. I promise I'll be good. Lay tracks. Track laying is kind of
What's track lane?
so
Oh, like
we
you
track.
run off.
Yeah, so you're the bad guy,
Okay, you run off.
and everybody's like, "Oh, being a track layer is actually there's kind of a knack to it
Okay.
because you are like, well, I'm going to go this, and I'm going to weave around these trees, and you don't understand that you're really messing the dog up. Like we want you to do this specific track so that I can see the specific part of the dog's tracking and work on this little bitty component, and you're trying to stump the dog. So if you could show up and you can be a good track layer, I mean, you could set dope out for dog handlers because we can't set our own dope out all the time.
Yeah.
Because dogs are smart. Dogs are looking for the clearest and easiest path. If you set your own dope all the time,
they're going to come to you.
they'll key on your odor.
Yeah.
So what I would do is like on this bank of counters here, if I was going to hide my own drugs, which I do,
Yeah.
or if I was going to hide drugs for anybody else, I'm going to touch every one of those door handles, and then I'll put drugs in one of them. Because the dogs will get smart if you don't plan for that kind of stuff. Eventually, the dog comes into this cold room and he sniffs and he finds one door handle that's been touched.
He knows.
And he knows.
Yeah.
Dogs are smart.
So what if somebody was, what's your advice? Somebody wanting to be a police officer, you're saying get the 4-year degree.
You can be military and be a police officer. You can get your 4-year degree and be a police officer. Those are the two main routes. Most of us are prior military or we have a degree.
Okay.
The absolute best advice I can give to anyone that wants to be a police officer, go find a way to ride.
Yeah.
And that's not always an easy task. I was lucky. That was probably my biggest step up.
Yeah.
Was I grew up around cops. I had cop friends. When I wrote my application out, everybody that it was a reference had sergeant, chief, deputy on my reference list, because I had made a lot of connections with police officers. And go ride.
Yeah.
Go get in a police car with every different kind of agency that you can get in with.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to do it. And trust me, everybody wants to hire. We have a shortage of police officers right now.
Okay.
The city of Litchfield, are actively hiring one.
Okay.
But we've been on a tear of hiring, and we're probably doing better than most agencies in that we need to hire one. A lot of people need to hire a couple.
Oh, wow.
They're having a hard time doing it. Getting into academies is tough. Like right now, if you go make yourself available to police departments and can pass our tests, you're in.
Yeah. Is the physical part pretty tough?
No, I don't know what the numbers are anymore. It is a passable test if you can put the effort in.
Okay.
You can't get up off the couch and go like, I'm going to pass the police test today. You can
train for a while.
Train for a couple of months. You should be able to pass it. It's like 90 for your 21-year-old-ish crowd. I think it's like 95% of your body weight you have to do on a bench.
Okay.
You have to run a 1.5 miles in like 13 minutes, I think.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's not hard for somebody that's in decent shape. It's really just to say, okay, you're going to be able to do most of the physicality of this job.
Okay. Okay, so we were talking here on the side. You started drinking coffee cold. How's that?
Yes. So I was introduced to coffee in 2 ways. I was like 4 or 5 years old. My grandmother would give me, 3/4 of a cup of milk with a 1/4 cup of coffee in it. And that's how I started drinking coffee. But I loved my dad. I followed my dad around. We did everything together. I was his buddy. If my dad was doing something, I was with him. Yeah. Well, my dad would take a cup of coffee like this, and he'd go out and he'd start doing something. That last 1/4 cup would get cold. He'd hand it to me, and I'd drink it down. And I'm telling you, to this day, I can drink cold coffee like nothing. Like it's just
what a special memory.
It was. I can remember to this day, standing in the side yard. There's a pile of wood that we were getting ready to move or something. He's like, "Here, you want this?" And I'd, bloop. I'll never forget drinking my dad's cold coffee.
What are some of your outside work hobbies?
So outside of work, it's a hobby, but it's also kind of my sideline. Is that I train pet dogs.
Wow.
On the side, I do kind of 2 different programs. When I first started, I did what was called a board and train program. I would, you're having a problem with your pet. You don't understand exactly what's going on. Maybe you need to have a little bit clearer communication with your pet. I would take your pet for 3 weeks, put the training into it. A lot of it is some e-collar work as well, the stimulation collar. And then at the end of 3 weeks, I come back and I bring your dog back and we have kind of a turnover lesson. Here's your dog. He's trained.
Wow.
Which I like doing that. It's fun for me. I love training the dog. The problem is getting the buy-in with the client of now you have to follow through.
Yeah.
Because
if you don't,
I can bring you the greatest dog in the world and you can have him right back to what you had before in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then what I do now, what I prefer to do and what clients seem to prefer is just coaching, like a 1-hour coaching session a week. Then it's not me handling your dog. I'm just kind of coaching like, hey, maybe try this. And
I think we're going to get you because our dog.
That'd be great.
Barks at the UPS all like crazy.
Yeah. No, I love working with dogs. All dogs.
And so dogs are in your family. Your wife is a veterinarian.
Yes. My wife is a veterinarian. I think she graduated in 2012.
Oh, wow.
I'm very lucky that she said that last night. So I remember that she graduated in 2012.
Very hard degree to get.
Yes. So she graduated from the University of Illinois. She worked here in Litchfield for 2 to 3 years, and now she is the medical director at Hawthorne Animal Hospital.
Oh, wow.
And Hawthorne's very special. They have what's called an angel fund.
Yeah.
Which actually pertains a lot to my police dog. They have, I believe it's 13 dogs that they give cradle to grave care for.
Oh, wow.
Includes dog food for all of those dogs, any shots, any injuries. If I have a problem, I'm working the road at 2:00 in the morning and a dog is injured, I drive down there and they take care of it. There is no bill.
Wow.
As long as they can provide it there, they take care of it. Now, they fund that by client donations, and then they'll do some fundraisers for us. We help them with their fundraisers.
Okay.
So that they get to use that money for the police dogs, and then they also help Treehouse, which is a wildlife rescue in the area. So they're doing a lot of good stuff with that.
If somebody wanted to donate to them, how would they do it?
Contact Hawthorne Animal Hospital, and then it's the Angel Fund. I believe they actually have some links to it on their Facebook page.
Okay. Well, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I did not know that. And that's got to be a lot of money. And that's amazing. So
it's a great service that they provide. And we're on the north end of their range of who they provide to. I know, Madison County area, Alton PD, I believe was on it. Macoupin County Sheriff's Office, just a lot of agencies in the area get help from Hawthorne, and it's good because right now they're the only emergency clinic in the area. Yeah,
we live an hour away, and that's where we'd have to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, definitely tell your wife thanks for doing that.
And she loves it. She's lucky she's in the career that she was called to be in, just the same as I am. Yeah.
Well, Zach, it's just been an absolute pleasure having you on today, and I can't thank you enough. And just thank you for what you do, and really do appreciate it. Your stories were pretty remarkable. Just love hearing them. So thank you so much. Is there anything you wanted to say at the end, or?
No, I've very much enjoyed sitting down and talking with you. I've enjoyed your coffee today.
All right. Thank you for coming on. So thanks.
Thank you.